So how did these guys find you? You were just walking around? They were like...
walking around. I'm also an exhibitor. We do high-end activations that involve conditional probability. If the Mets win 100 games, a customer wins $1 million. If you select these 5 cards in a row, you win $500,000. And we are the insurance broker and the company that creates all the promotions associated with that. And so we've been at trade shows a fair bit, trying to figure out how to introduce clients to this notion instead of discounting. I was very attracted to all of the apps suck.
Yeah, they're bad.
Right? And I was like, yeah, I totally agree, having now done 6 trade shows in the last 7 weeks. So I run sales and marketing for the business. So I've been basically driving all of that.
That's you. What are you seeing in this industry over like the last several events that you've done where you have some like kind of maybe a hot take on what's going on?
As I joked with somebody earlier today, assume that whatever number the trade show company tells you is going to be true, divide that number by half.
Yeah.
Unless it is the cost of actually being in the trade show, in which case multiply by 2. One of the really painful stuff is like, how do you actually know these things are working? Well, lead capture is one of the bigger pieces to that, and the answer is you don't.
Yeah, it's not working. Oh my gosh. You find right now trade shows are where you need to be.
That's the hypothesis.
Okay.
Until we prove that it's not working at all. Then there's 2 problems, which is, are your customers actually at that trade show? And really none of the trade show providers can tell you that.
Right.
So that's problematic. Or the answer is yes, but it's hard to believe when the answer is yes to everything. Right, and then secondly, let me just pile activation upon activation within the confines of the trade show.
Yeah.
So year 1 for us has been stepping in and saying, okay, can we at least spend 10 or 15 grand instead of spending 100 grand on a smaller activation and just get a sense of whether the customers are right? Are we getting any traction with those customers? Does it make sense? Okay, now let's double down on the second one.
How can you tell that an event is successful or not?
What I'm really looking to do is to connect the dots between the sales organization that I have and the trade show team. They're basically one and the same. I don't have a trade show team and a sales team.
Sure.
My sales team is at the trade show, but basically tracking the source of where we met that person. So we were at a trade show 2 weeks ago, and there were basically 0 leads that we believe are going to turn into opportunity, even 6 months from now, opportunities. Whereas a month and a half ago, we went to one that's actually generated 30.
Oh, wow.
And so I'm not doing it in the most efficient way right now, but I can go back into dynamics and go, oh, okay, when did we contact with this person? Where was it? How do we find it? I want to get that more efficient, right?
Yeah.
How do I go back and backtrace where I found that person 6 months later, 9 months later? So you left Adobe and all those big firms, you're like, you know what I want to do? I want to create a startup in an incredibly tumultuous time and do it in a place where it's actually been sort of this potential treasure trove of data that no one actually uses effectively.
And nobody has, My co-founder, he's been a sales rep his whole life.
Okay.
And he hated trade shows.
Yeah.
And the reason is because the leads would go to marketing.
Yep.
And then 10 days later, he would finally get the list.
Yeah.
And his team couldn't do anything with him.
Too late.
They're like, it's too late. Give me some warm inbounds. Let's see if we can hit something here, maybe. I don't know how.
Yeah, I gotta love this guy. That's good work.
That felt good. Yeah, so anyway, so we started the company, and he said, there's got to be a better solution. And what he presented to me was what in my mind felt like a business card reader, like a scanner type of a thing. I was like, there's lots of those that exist. But what I found when we started doing the research, because I felt like I needed to be really convicted in order to start a startup, being in these companies that I was at, we dove in and found out that there's literally no data. People are not tracking engagements. They're not tracking buyer intent. They're not doing it in real time. Some of the people we talked to, they said things like, oh yeah, there was this deal, that probably biggest deal in the company history, and as a field marketer we didn't get any attribution or any credit, right? And you're like, and it came from the trade show, but nobody knew,
right?
But that's where it came from.
Our problem was, for sure, you would do a trade show and that data would sit for a month or a month and a half and not be distributed out correctly. And even in the space that I've 4 salespeople now, and we'll get 30 or 40 or 50 leads out of this. And who's actually doing the follow-up? How do you divide that correctly? How do you structure it? If the person that was on the sales team who went to the trade show isn't the person following up, you definitely have this transition problem.
Yeah.
That we're gonna have to deal with.
So that's why we built it, was because we felt like, every interaction that you have with somebody, you could take a note, you could add a tag, you could do some sort of digital tagging that then could go into your marketing automation platform to nurture that lead further.